Reese, the big superstar rebounder in the WNBA, launches her podcast by taking an immediate shot, in my view, at Caitlin Clark and her fans. Caitlin Clark fans are the reason people are making naked AI pictures of me. How do you get there? What does that have to do with Caitlin Clark? She puts herself out there, even on this podcast, stomach out, breasts barely hidden, legs front and center everywhere. She has sexualized herself.
Her fans are saying this. No, I don't believe in her heart that she has hatred towards me. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure she believes that I don't have hatred towards her. But when it comes to death threats, when it comes to people finding, like I'm talking about people who come down to my address, follow me home, like it's come down to that. And like when I talked about earlier on after the season, and when I was in my press conference and I was talking about being sexualized, like I guess people thought that was like because I post pictures in my bathing suits. No, like multiple occasions people have made AI pictures of me like naked, literally.
Really?
They have sent it to my family members. My family members are like uncles are sending it to me like,
no.
Are you naked on Instagram?
Angel Reese recently stirred up controversy by claiming she was being sexualized due to her public image. She pointed to her Instagram photos and even alleged that AI-generated images of her naked were circulating. But what's most surprising is her attempt to link this to Caitlin Clark.
Multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me like naked, literally.
Really?
So I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans.
Let's break this down. There's absolutely no connection between these issues and Caitlin Clark. This is another case of Angel Reese using Clark's rising fame to keep herself in the spotlight. It's clear, Reese is chasing clout, trying to attach herself to Caitlin Clark's narrative to remain relevant. But let's be honest here, Angel Reese's jealousy of Caitlin Clark is becoming more and more obvious. Clark hasn't done anything to her, yet Reese continues to create drama around her. Why? Because Caitlin Clark is dominating the WNBA, gaining attention, and changing the game. Meanwhile, Angel Reese feels left out. This isn't just about basketball anymore. Caitlin Clark is getting pummeled with brutal fouls on the court, and WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has done nothing about it. Fans are frustrated. They're not just upset about the fouls. They're concerned that Clark isn't being protected as the league's rising star. Now let's get into the real tension between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. This isn't just a one-sided rivalry. It goes deep. There's Reese, constantly talking about being compared to Clark, and then there's Clark, who's out there doing what she does best, playing basketball at an elite level. Even Serena Williams stepped into the conversation, showing support for Caitlin Clark. Serena praised Clark, saying that negativity stems from people who can't do what Caitlin does on the court.
What advice would you have maybe for her?
I just love that she tries to stay grounded, and she says she doesn't, what did she say, she doesn't have a social, she doesn't look at her social, and I get it, I don't either, and I think it's so important to continue to do what she's doing, and no matter what other people do, then if people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically, and hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing.
This rivalry is more than just about two players. It's become a battle for the soul of the WNBA. Speaking of rivalries, the WNBA is under heavy scrutiny for how it's handling these situations. Recently, Diamond DeShields committed a brutal foul against Caitlin Clark, which left fans outraged. People immediately called it a flagrant foul, but what's worse, the league barely responded. And as if that wasn't enough, DeShields faced racist threats after the incident, showcasing how divisive this situation has become. Tensions are rising, and Caitlin Clark seems to be at the center of all of it. The league's reluctance to address these issues is alarming, and fans are demanding action. Meanwhile, Angel Reese keeps pushing her "they're watching me too" narrative. But here's the truth. Fans are tuning in for Caitlin Clark, not Reese. ESPN and the WNBA may try to promote both players equally, but the stats and numbers tell a different story. Caitlin Clark is the draw. Her dominance on the court and connection with the fans are undeniable. On the other hand, Reese is trying to keep up, but her attempts are falling flat. People aren't watching her. They're watching Caitlin. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA is undeniable. The WNBA has seen a massive boost in viewership, and that's largely due to the Clark effect. Of the top 18 most-watched games this season, 16 featured Caitlin Clark. This isn't a coincidence. People are showing up to watch her play. Clark's influence is driving the league's success, while Angel Reese struggles to find her footing. Clark's connection with fans is electric, and she continues to outshine Reese in every way. The more Reese tries to compare herself to Clark, the more obvious it becomes that Clark is in a league of her own. But it's not just about individual performances, it's about the broader impact on the WNBA. Caitlin Clark has become the face of the league, drawing in new fans and significantly boosting ticket sales, TV ratings, and overall engagement. ESPN has been covering her rise extensively, with some even comparing her to NBA legends like Stephen Curry for her deep-range shooting and ability to command the floor. Clark's impact isn't just changing her team, it's changing the entire league. As the Indiana Fever climb up the standings, thanks to her leadership, the Rookie of the Year race has already been decided. Angel Reese, meanwhile, is falling behind. Her constant focus on comparing herself to Caitlin Clark is overshadowing her game. Instead of focusing on her own performance, Reese continues to bring up Clark in interviews, podcasts, and social media posts, but it's backfiring. Fans and analysts alike are starting to see through this. Reese's attempts to stay in the spotlight by attaching herself to Clark's success are only hurting her reputation. The more she tries to tear down Clark, the more Clark shines. Caitlin Clark's dominance and the future of the WNBA. Let's talk about Caitlin Clark's dominance. Clark has broken records left and right, leading her team, and she's doing it while handling immense pressure. Her ability to stay composed despite constant fouls, dirty plays, and media attention proves that she's not just a great player, she's a leader. The Rookie of the Year race, it's already over. Clark has surpassed Angel Reese in every possible category, from stats to team impact. What's next for Clark? Fans are already speculating that she could be in the MVP conversation soon. So, where does this leave Angel Reese? It's time for Reese to stop chasing Caitlin Clark and focus on her own game. The comparisons are not doing her any favors. Clark is clearly on a different level. And the more Reese tries to force the narrative, the more it becomes clear that Caitlin Clark is leading the charge for the future of the WNBA. What do you think? Is Angel Reese clout chasing by constantly linking herself to Caitlin Clark? Or is there something deeper at play? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're here for all the latest updates on the WNBA's biggest drama, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more exciting breakdowns and updates.
Who's the best player in the country?
To the media or me?
As you see it.
I feel like I'm the best player in the country.
Okay. Who's the second best player in the country?
Shit.
People didn't notice the game. They're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese. But there's nothing about her game that's really interesting.
Caitlin Clark is the best women's basketball player any of us have ever seen.
Angel Reese recently made headlines with her controversial claims about being sexualized, blaming Caitlin Clark's fan base. In a viral moment, Reese suggested she was targeted because of her appearance and online presence.
I get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much, I've seen so much, I've been attacked so many times. Death threats, I've been sexualized, I've been threatened, I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time.
Reese can control what she does. If she doesn't want people talking about her sexuality, don't make your sexuality the point of your Instagram page.
But fans aren't buying it. Reese, who has embraced a Barbie image on her Instagram, now accuses Caitlin Clark's fans of contributing to the negative attention. People are calling this out as clout chasing, and the connection to Clark feels forced. What's really going on here? Is Angel Reese just using Caitlin Clark's name to stay relevant? Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's incredible performances in the WNBA continue to dominate headlines.
Caitlin Clark is the best women's basketball player any of us have ever seen.
breaking records and drawing huge audiences. The comparisons between the two stars are becoming increasingly one-sided, with Clark emerging as a generational talent, while Reese struggles to maintain consistency. Many are pointing to Reese's jealousy, especially as Clark's star power overshadows her own. The WNBA is now under fire for its handling of aggressive fouls targeting Caitlin Clark. One of the most talked about incidents involved Diamond DeShields.
Here's Clark for 29 points, gets tripped up. Caitlin Clark and Diamond who
committed a brutal foul against Clark during a high-profile WNBA game. Fans were outraged, and many are calling for WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert to address the league's growing safety concerns. Yet the league remains silent, and this has fans demanding answers.
Then what happens is Diamond DeShields body blocks her like she's playing football, running down the floor, clearly runs right into her to knock her over. Flagrant foul called. That's 2 more. That's 5 free throws in a minute because y'all can't control yourselves. Not because of the referees.
The question remains, is the WNBA protecting its star players like Caitlin Clark, or are they dropping the ball? This rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark is about more than just basketball. It's also fueling discussions about race and favoritism in the WNBA.
Some sensitivities of rivalries between players. In the case of Angel Reese, who's just had to shut it down because of a wrist injury, Caitlin Clark, who's continuing to play. Rivalry that goes back to their college days, presumably. But now it seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try and stay ahead of that? Uncharitable things about the
one
other.
thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like the WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those 2 rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black.
Serena Williams, a legendary name in sports, even weighed in, telling Caitlin Clark that critics are simply jealous of her unmatched talent.
Clark, what advice would you have maybe for her?
I just love that she tries to stay grounded, and she says she doesn't, what did she say? She doesn't have a social, she doesn't look at her social, and I get it. I don't either. And I think it's so important to continue to do what she's doing, and no matter what other people do, then if people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically, and hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing. So
Clark continues to rise above the drama, letting her on-court skills do the talking, while Reese appears to focus on off-court narratives that detract from the game. The fan base is growing tired of the unnecessary drama. They're not tuning in to see these personal feuds. They're here for the basketball, and Caitlin Clark is giving them just that. Clark's presence has boosted WNBA viewership by 180% and led to sold-out arenas whenever she plays. In contrast, Reese's public statements seem more self-centered, and the difference in their approaches is becoming clear. Caitlin Clark is all about her team, while Angel Reese appears to make it all about herself.
And I'm happy. I mean, they still got us. They got one up on us, so I'm just happy for the team, and I want to make it about us. I just want our team. Chicago, they came out tonight, so I'm just happy for us.
As the WNBA continues to face backlash over these incidents, the league's future is at a critical juncture. Clark is driving the WNBA's resurgence, but unless the league steps up to protect her from the increasing aggression she faces, they risk losing the momentum she's brought. The constant comparisons between Clark and Reese are growing stale. One is focused on winning, while the other seems stuck in a cycle of self-promotion. Caitlin Clark has proven that she can handle the pressure, but fans are concerned about the WNBA's inability to protect its biggest star. In a recent game, Clark was on the receiving end of yet another aggressive foul, this time from Angel Reese herself.
Clark hammered Reese. Yep, across the head, and they will go to the monitor.
Fans were quick to label it a flagrant foul, demanding stricter enforcement from the league. This wasn't the first time Clark has been targeted, and it won't be the last if the WNBA doesn't intervene. Angel Reese, on the other hand, continues to make headlines for all the wrong reasons. Instead of focusing on her game, she seems more interested in comparing herself to Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin is an amazing player, and I've always thought she was an amazing player. We've been playing each other since high school. Like, literally been playing each other since high school, and like knowing that, like, there's never been beef. Like, we've talked trash to each other in AAU. Like, that it's been that. So I think it's really just the fans, her fans.
But fans are seeing through the act. Every time you see Angel, it's about her. Caitlin, it's about the team, one fan remarked. This growing divide between the two players is emblematic of the larger issues within the WNBA. The league needs to shift the focus back to basketball, not personal drama. Despite the distractions, Caitlin Clark continues to shine. Over the past 2 months, she has been in top form, setting records and leading her team to success. Her three-point shooting is on fire, and she's already broken the franchise record for most three-pointers in a season. Whether at home or on the road, fans are flocking to see her in action. It's no wonder she's being hailed as the future face of the WNBA. Clark's leadership goes beyond scoring. She's become a fan favorite because of her ability to connect with the audience, signing autographs, taking pictures, and lifting her teammates both on and off the court. Compare that to Angel Reese, who seems more focused on her own brand. Fans are beginning to ask, who is really elevating the WNBA, Clark or Reese? The physicality in the WNBA is no joke, but the aggression directed at Caitlin Clark is reaching new levels.
Sometimes your emotions get the best of you. Happened to me multiple times throughout the course of my career. People are competitive. It is what it is. And she's having a tremendous season. She's played great basketball in my eyes, probably in first place for 6th player of the year. And, it's just basketball at the end of the day. There's no grudges. There's nothing like that. It's a sport. It's competitive. It's not going to be nice all the time. That's not what basketball is. And I think people that play that.
Fans are not only concerned about player safety, but are also frustrated by the league's lack of action. Some are even threatening to boycott the WNBA if they don't step up and protect their players.
You know when's the last time I watched a WNBA game? Never. Till today. I've still not watched a WNBA game.
Caitlin Clark is single-handedly bringing in record-breaking crowds and attention. But if the WNBA doesn't address the issues surrounding her, they risk losing everything she's worked to build. Serena Williams' recent praise for Caitlin Clark underscores the impact Clark is having on not just the WNBA, but the world of sports. Williams told Clark, no matter what people do, it's because they can't do what you do. It's a powerful statement that reflects the level of respect Clark has earned across the sports community. As Clark continues to stay grounded and focused on her performance, Angel Reese's attempts to stir controversy are looking more and more like desperate grabs for attention. The rivalry between Clark and Reese reached new heights when Clark was once again fouled aggressively, sparking outrage among fans. Many labeled it as a flagrant foul and called on the WNBA to enforce stricter penalties. This wasn't the first time Clark has been targeted, and fans are growing increasingly frustrated with the league's inaction. The comparisons between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are starting to feel one-sided, with Clark continuing to rise as the league's biggest star, while Reese struggles to stay relevant.
Caitlin Clark is actually very, very skilled. Angel Reese has none. She's an energy player. That's it. She's not a skilled basketball player, and people are starting to point that out. She's not going to like it.
As the WNBA navigates this critical period, Caitlin Clark's performances are setting new standards for the league. Her ability to lead her team, both with her scoring and leadership, is unmatched. Fans are loving her style of play, and her impact is undeniable. But as Clark continues to break records and elevate the WNBA, the constant comparisons to Angel Reese are becoming tiresome. One player is focused on the team, while the other seems more focused on herself. The WNBA is at a crossroads. The league needs to protect its star players, address the ongoing safety concerns, and refocus on the game itself. Caitlin Clark has brought unprecedented attention to the WNBA, and the league has a chance to capitalize on her success. But first, they need to step up and address the deeper issues that are holding them back. What are your thoughts on the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark rivalry? Is the WNBA doing enough to protect its players and address the growing tensions? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more WNBA updates and analysis. Stay tuned as we continue to follow this unfolding story. Thanks for watching.
How much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them. But you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Mm-hmm. Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have. Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Sheryl Swoopes has been stirring up controversy in the WNBA, particularly with her critical comments about rising superstar Caitlin Clark. This season, Swoopes has made no secret of her jealousy, but her latest actions have taken things to a whole new level. ESPN, the network that's been closely following Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise, has highlighted her impact on the WNBA numerous times, making Swoop's criticism even more surprising. Diamond DeShields recently made headlines in WNBA news for an aggressive play against Caitlin Clark, sparking intense debate among WNBA fans. Imagine this. DeShields intercepts Clark at half court during a key Indiana Fever game, not with just any foul, but with a clear, frustration-driven play. The fallout from this incident was immediate, with WNBA analysts and fans calling it out as a dirty play.
Against Caitlin Clark, it wasn't okay. It was a flagrant foul.
Igniting a firestorm of controversy. The aftermath of Diamond DeShields' actions didn't stop at just criticism. DeShields faced a barrage of backlash, including receiving racist threats.
Diamond DeShields received racist threats after Caitlin Clark flagrant foul,
which highlighted ongoing issues within the WNBA community. But amid this storm, Sheryl Swoopes stood out as a vocal supporter of DeShields, continuing her narrative against Caitlin Clark. Swoopes tweeted, "Head up, kid. Hate will not win. You are covered, and there's nothing these evil people can do about that. All love for you." This tweet, while supportive of DeShields, had significant consequences for Swoopes, leading to her removal from the WNBA broadcast team for the highly anticipated Fever versus Dallas Wings game, a pivotal WNBA matchup. When questioned by WNBA fans who were eager to hear her commentary, Swoopes didn't hold back, responding with the now famous phrase, "Not today, Satan." But let's be honest, supporting WNBA players who engage in potentially dangerous, career-threatening actions isn't a good look for a WNBA legend like Swoopes. This incident isn't isolated, it's just the latest in a series of actions that suggest jealousy and resentment towards Caitlin Clark, one of the most talked about players in women's basketball today. Stephen A. Smith, a well-known sports commentator frequently featured on ESPN, has consistently defended Caitlin Clark, and this time was no different. Smith didn't hesitate to call out Sheryl Swoopes for her biased and baseless criticism of Clark.
No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Sheryl Swoopes, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark?
The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just a buzzword. It's a real phenomenon in women's basketball, driving WNBA viewership and attendance to new heights. Caitlin Clark is redefining the game every time she steps onto the court, breaking WNBA records and setting new standards for what's possible in women's sports. But with greatness comes envy, and Swoopes' actions seem to reflect the challenges that come with being a trailblazer like Caitlin Clark. The tension between Sheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark goes back to Clark's college basketball days. Swoopes openly questioned whether Clark's skills would translate to the WNBA, even suggesting that Angel Reese's game was better suited for professional play. Swoopes confidently predicted that Clark wouldn't dominate the WNBA immediately.
Like, nah, it's not gonna be that easy. So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
Okay.
But as we've seen, Caitlin Clark has exceeded all expectations, proving her doubters wrong at every turn. But Swoopes didn't stop at questioning Clark's abilities. She also criticized Clark's NCAA scoring record, dismissing it as a result of volume shooting rather than skill.
Going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record? Yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't think it should be.
However, Swoopes got several key facts wrong. She claimed that Caitlin Clark took advantage of an extra year of eligibility due to COVID-19, playing 5 years of college basketball. In reality, Clark played the standard 4 years, just like Kelsey Plum, the previous record holder. What's more, Caitlin broke the record in fewer games, showing that it wasn't just about taking more shots, but making them count. Swoops also exaggerated by stating that Caitlin Clark takes 40 shots per game, when in truth, Clark's average is closer to 19 shots per game. And perhaps the most glaring mistake, Swoops claimed that Caitlin is 25 years old when she's actually just 22.
How much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have. Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
These inaccuracies have led many WNBA fans and analysts to question whether Swoops' criticism is based on facts or personal bias. What Sheryl Swoops fails to acknowledge is the monumental impact Caitlin Clark is having on women's basketball and the WNBA as a whole. Caitlin Clark is bringing more attention to the WNBA than ever before, inspiring a new generation of young female athletes and drawing in a wider audience to the league. Instead of uplifting the next generation of WNBA players, Swoops seems intent on undermining their success. But this isn't just about Caitlin, it's about the future of the WNBA. Supporting Caitlin Clark means supporting the growth and evolution of women's basketball. Despite the backlash, Sheryl Swoops eventually issued an apology, though many found it less than sincere. She defensively stated that black people can't be racist, a comment that did little to mend the situation.
I'm gonna say this, and then I wanna be done with this whole conversation. So for people to come at me and say that I made those comments because I'm a racist, first of all, black people can't be racist.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark continues to break records in her rookie WNBA season, solidifying her place in the history of the WNBA. From holding the WNBA single-game assist record to becoming the youngest player to achieve consecutive double-doubles in points and assists, Caitlin's accomplishments are rewriting the WNBA record books. Yet Sheryl Swoops seems determined to ignore these achievements. It's becoming clear that this isn't just a case of casual criticism. It's starting to look like a personal vendetta, and people are taking notice. Even Stephen A. Smith, known for his outspoken views on ESPN, couldn't stay silent. He publicly criticized Swoops for her blatant bias against Clark.
Clark and the Fever currently lead the WNBA in average game attendance and per-game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and viewership records, there seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark starting with WNBA legend Sheryl Swoops herself.
The statistics don't lie. Caitlin Clark is leading the Indiana Fever to new heights, with the team boasting the highest average game attendance and TV viewership in the WNBA. And yet, Swoops refuses to give Caitlin the credit she deserves. Instead, Sheryl Swoops continues to praise other Fever players like Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston, while conspicuously leaving Caitlin Clark out of the conversation.
This Indiana team, I'm gonna say shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Watch her in AU. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle and just couldn't miss. Kelsey Mitchell is just broken. She is just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double.
This omission is becoming increasingly difficult for WNBA fans to ignore, especially as Caitlin continues to set new records and drive the success of the Indiana Fever. Swoops' refusal to acknowledge Clark's contributions is not only petty, but also damaging to her own reputation as a WNBA legend. And the criticism doesn't end there. Swoops went as far as to suggest that Caitlin's success is due to having better teammates at the Fever compared to Angel Reese's situation at the Chicago Sky. With Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese locked in a tight race for WNBA Rookie of the Year, Swoops' dismissal of Clark's talent is almost laughable. So, what's next in this unfolding drama? As Caitlin Clark continues to rise in the WNBA, will the league and its legends like Sheryl Swoops finally give her the recognition she deserves? Or will a shadow of jealousy continue to loom over her achievements? One thing is certain, this story is far from over.